Welcome everyone to another fine Linux live stream here live on our channel. And yeah, dedication and efforts and stuff spared no efforts, and actually installed the latest builds that we built on the PS3 and Octane, also on the 32-bit Apple G4 Cube, highly upgraded. Previous videos 1.2 gigahertz, 1.5 gigabyte memory, and Radeon 7500 something. And so one set update, unfortunately, is also it boots, and I also now have full disk encryption because 2020 is a really sad state. Previous video, still some AMD Radeon regression still doesn't work. X starts, in contrast to the regression, yeah, unfortunately quite many regressions on the Ultra 5. X SIG aborts bus error something. Also on the Ultra 5 X org worked for decades. And yeah, this regression unfortunately known for a very long time, over 5, 6, 7 years, still not fixed. Some people say it helps setting Radeon AGP mode to PCI. It doesn't really do something for me. But yeah, not really sure. The problem could be multiple. Somehow the command processor hangs, doesn't process. It could be caching. It could be memory barriers that the driver code writes into the command ring, which is also why we do all the previous videos here, from Virgil Voodoo to Number 9 Imagine and Link 3D, and certainly PS3 RSX. But there you see so much testing time spent and whatnot, and then a little showstopper. So eventually, probably sometime soon next, I need to tackle that. Although maybe I write first a bare metal low level driver for our own sake here. Anyway, so that works in theory. Unfortunately, there is another regression here with, by the way, should have checked that here with the tempered glass build here, AMD Ryzen. Really, you can't make this freaking regressions up. The last days, so it worked beautifully, right? No problems, AMD Ryzen, amazing stuff with T2 desktop Linux, certainly. Anyway, the last, you can't make this regressions up. Usually I work here, stuff, go home, and then I noticed like a week or two, so this is a super new regression and whatever is the latest Linux kernel. When you shut down, this most stupid ACPI regressions, when you shut down and hold the system to power off, it reboots now. It never did this, so I was, this board, this Asus ROG i470 or X470i, I used this for since the YouTube video, so probably way over, could actually fact check. Anyway, a super long time, over a year, no problems, worked a treat, fantastic stuff. And since a week it reboots. You pack your stuff and shut down -H0 or no, whatever, and pack your things and then go to the office door and the thing starts up again. It's hilarious. Anyway, just that we don't make this stuff up. I did some other stuff, so huge progress at this rate, except huge progress on regressions. You see, you spend so much time and effort perfecting your Linux, and then reboot regressions there, AGP, whatever, caching, memory barriers, command ring, whatever stuff. Which also, yeah, probably need to not only microkernel but an own graphics subsystem. I noticed some bugs of our own booting here on this, but also probably affecting, I've probably seen this on the PS3. So when you installed the last ISOs, playing along at home, there was some Unicode stuff not working, and obviously I noticed why. The glibc, this was glibc related. You have here in user share internationalization i18n. By the way, English native, how do you say internationalization, or do you say i18n, or I don't know, whatever. Share internationalization, char maps, they didn't install. I thought it's a cross thing, and I noticed probably on all the cross builds, which is also why the x86 build, I now cross build all of them, even the x86 to have, I said this before, to have exactly the same setup, that when we spin x86 ISOs, we have the same bugs or missing features like on the other ones, just to stress my pain and testing to really fix these issues. And it turned out that this char maps was missing. I thought it's a crossing, that it's not done on cross builds, but that was not the case. Quick look into that, and var adm logs. So what glibc is doing is in the regular build stuff, it's compressing this, and here's this char maps. It's running, it's installing this, and then it's a little bit probably a little bit cleaner might have been to maybe cat this, or I don't know, like it's well, anyway, it's installing this and then running gzip on this, and to have some, like, not wasting space for all those character maps of all fancy Windows and IBM whatever mainframe goodness. And so they were not in the log. We had this previous video, the recurring subscribers may have remembered we recently spent quite some hours of efforts with our sandbox wrapping preload technique, adding new system calls, all this system calls, the new system calls with at the end, openat, rename at, and so on. And this was a similar thing. So the way this works, do I still have this in the history? Of course, this is our sandbox FList tracking stuff, and although I implemented this a couple of years ago, like 3 years or something, like general support for openat. For those who are new to this, normal system calls are like open, read, write, close and stuff, to read files or other things, sockets and so on. And this openat are new system calls that allow you to open a file. So normally you can open a file with absolute path name, like /absolute, meaning full path name starting with a slash or backslash if you're on DOS operating systems. So /foobar, whatever, home user, home Joe, my files, some text file. Or relative. Relative is always a relative is if it doesn't start with a slash, then it's relative. And relative meaning relative to the current working directory. So each process has a current working directory, like wherever you are, like this current working directory is user source T2 clean. And so far so good, but eventually clever programmers realized, let's optimize the heck out of this, and Linux developers probably. And they have here some, because sometimes, like for some server workload, you have a server and like a file server, whatever, and you have some directory handle, like file descriptor there, and you want always a reference relative to that. This is what this new family of add functions are relative to some directory file descriptor, aka handle, if you are on DOS and Windows. And so this is a new family, and I noticed so far I've never seen anything use this. So a lot of glibc and programs will simply use openat. So if you strace openat like ls, we will openat. There you see. And so fun fact, if it would be my microkernel, if we start a new microkernel, we probably don't even implement open, but only openat, because nearby old-fashioned stuff. As you see, you can emulate the old-fashioned stuff with openat and then special file descriptor at current working directory. And I've never seen this to be used. So while I implemented generic support for that here in this file wrapping technique stuff, I didn't implement support for relative to a directory handle. The issue is if you do this in user space in your library, it's not that easy to, because you cannot ask the kernel. There is not on Mac OS there actually, or yeah, on Mac OS there is some get FD name or something system call. There once was a patch proposed for Linux. It wasn't accepted because now only Mac OS has it or whatever. So for this to work, like the issue is that this gzip used this. So the problem why this wasn't in the all these character maps were not in the FList tracking sandbox technique archived thing here is that this was using openat, and this was one of the very few cases. So this is nearly the first thing, except like file server and other database and professional stuff. A very few cases where I've seen this file, this openat relative to this directory file descriptor being used. So what we get here is openat and then openat this character map, and this is why this was not working. And so for this I spent quite some time. Maybe I should have done this live on YouTube, but it took an hour or two with testing and stuff. And so now this stuff here has openat support, like full support, and we have here to read this. It's a little bit tricky, and I do here a little bit tricky thing. You might have noticed that on Linux you have your proc files system for your current process, and you have here all the file descriptors, also with a typo. And so these are all the file descriptors. This is a little bit the best, and only if you have a better way, let me know. So in this library from user space, in this process tracking this, to determine if we get a handle, so we get a relative handle like 3, and so I read here this link. So also here the joy of C, it's a little bit open coded here, could have a little bit more error handling, so fixed buffers for its worth, so path max here. So yes, theoretically to do a little bit short buffer handling, whatever, YOLO. But so we need to generate the file, so we have C, amazing stuff, right? SNPrintf, our self-fd, size of this self-fd thing here, proc self-fd, and then the directory file descriptor, then read the link, add a path here, path max, theoretically to do check for buffer overrun, which probably will not happen quickly with 4096 or something, but yeah, theoretically. They also see either safer languages, previous video, just not have the static buffers, allocate this, but it's also this C functions are a pain to use. So theoretically you need to, instead of like having proper dynamically allocated string stuff, it's a little bit error prone. I wish you could just read link and get the allocated string, but with the static buffer or even dynamically allocated memory buffer, you would need to recall this if you get this return here for return equals size of AT path here of path max, but nah, whatever, another day, until it doesn't work the next time, probably in a decade or two. But nah, there you see producing our own issues here, but yeah, file tracking technique, it's YOLO, whatever, it's fine. And then we read this here, but then we also need to generate the file name. So there you see how many steps: printing, like in memory, printing this proc self file, then reading the link, and that's not all, then also concatenating this, also, yeah, amazing C handling. You could do this slightly more efficient, the string ncat. So basically we have our path here, our directory, so we concatenate with string cat. Again, you could do the slightly higher performance using the return value here and then concatenate directly here, because with this string ncat it's rescanning the string in memory, or whatever. It's rarely used, it's fine if we need higher performance or buffer handling, but there you see why. See, probably leave in the comments below. Anyway, I can, yeah, but also even if I add all the code, if return value equals size of, and then redo it, but also then we would need dynamically allocated strings. Like, yeah, for what you probably, we never had this. Maybe I should at least abort like if return value equals size of, then abort would probably the nicer thing to realize that actually something is wrong instead of silently truncating this. But yeah, YOLO, whatever. I'm the only one to suffer from this anyway. So yeah, get path also, this of course is with some get add path here. So we generate here this wrappers with C code. Previously the comment says here this has been some C processor macro stuff before it became too unreadable some 15 years ago or something, and then be turned into some shell program because it was absolutely unreadable. So in shell generating here C functions for this wrapping stuff, and we need to check here if this is our, like, iterating all the arguments that we are wrapping, like openat and stuff, and then if this is an add file descriptor, then generates this check for if this file descriptor is not some special at current working directory. Fun stuff here in C. I hope it's somewhat comprehensible. What do we have here? This is openat. So this is here, generates a wrappers. This is why this is shell script and not C preprocessor macros. Generating this wrapper for, there you see at quite some, like openat, also the 64 variants, create at, wait a second, it's not create, link at, symlink at, rename at, and rename at, yeah. Also, Linux developers adding a new system call and then just a year later, like, yeah, wait a second, we need some flags, so yeah, rename at and rename at too, can't even make this stuff up. And u times at. Anyway, fun stuff you do that your glibc installs better. So this means we now have all those files in there. Fixing another new bug here in this compilation stuff. It's a pity, by the way, this fine little cube, especially so the original cube, 450 or 500 megahertz, not the fastest. However, with this upgrade, so this is a massive processor upgrade. And with 1.2 gigahertz, it's actually perfectly usable, right? It's really a shame that this ATI AMD Radeon driver has this regressions. It was working, right? So yeah, Radeon originally they came with a Rage 128, upgraded this to the kind of max Radeon 7,000, yeah, 7,500. Really a shame. It is perfectly usable. It compiles, even like compiling T2 with the latest, not latest, GCC 9, GCC 10, previous video is a little bit slower, but compiles like normal packages like grep SED in 3 or 4 minutes, perfectly fine. Like exact image, our image magic faster substitute stuff in C++. Exact image in, I don't know, 10 minutes or something. Perfectly usable, right? So you could develop code, even if you develop massive code, thin client, log in remotely. It's a shame that it is broken anyway. But now it's full disk encrypted and you find this bug eventually. So yeah, this I wanted to do one more thing. This is basically the upgrade. So full disk encryption, PowerPC tested. I think I tested like grub2 previously. In good old-fashioned times, we always used Yaboot. Or Jaboot or whatever, strange names how to pronounce. So fully tested grub2 on the G5, previous video there a year ago, on the G4, and also tested a year ago. What I tested now is full disk encryption, so now it's the precious cube here, full disk encrypted, because 2020 security and stuff. And yeah, now I need to probably coming sometime soon, low-level code, ATI Mach64 stuff and Radeon, because not really I need my microkernel security and stuff, right? And it's certainly more fun than your own microkernel than fixing others people 5, 6, 7-year-old regressions. Welcome everyone in the audience. Amazing to see you here. So that's basically the upgrade, the update. The next issue is fixed. I have here a local TODO file. Probably I should also add some dynamic HTML bug tracking. Again, back in the day we had this at T2, of course, but it was constantly spammed. Oh, by the way, we can, so grub2 was broken, that is fixed. Grub first install grub config, that is fixed too. By the way, all cross dialogues. Theoretically, installer better like fs creation, mount point suggestions. Yeah, eventually test grub2 on Spark, because why not? So glibc cross local stuff that is fixed now with this was this flist wrapping in open was it openat, or yeah, probably it was openat. Yeah, cross auto. So it's still some stuff to do as usual. What else do we have here? Anyway, it doesn't really matter much. Yeah, Sun Ultra 5. All right. Speaking about it, fits this title. I didn't even make this stuff up. I just fixed on the Octane so much too. I can't fix regression fast enough, then they appear here. I just fixed on the Octane, SG Octane, I just fixed power off, which, yeah, it worked a decade ago, right? I just fixed power off with a, I think it was Dallas, probably Dallas real-time clock as per so often, and now it's broken. It always worked. It worked for nearly 20 years, over 15 years, 16, 17, 18 years. It worked since I had the Ultra Spark 5, and now it's broken. So yeah, theoretically, Sun Ultra 5 power off, and Sun Spark XOR segmentation faults or bus errors or something. And so probably you've seen the, so coming next, you have seen the low-level code. I previously usually have done this on DOS, except the Lynx 3D web, because the Lynx 3D I couldn't take out of the OCO. I put it away. It's a small little OCO. I couldn't, certainly it's integrated there on the PCB, couldn't take it out. So the OCO didn't network boot because BIOS bugs, whatever. So I did the Lynx 3D stuff in Linux, and I could do the Mach and Radeon stuff on DOS, but maybe just for the sake of YouTube views and your entertainment, maybe I do the Mach 64 on the Ultra Spark because X doesn't work anyway. Sorry, so we could do the ATI Mach low-level enablement similar to the Lynx Silicon Motion on the something else, not x86, but do it on the Ultra 5, and maybe the Radeon on the G4 because it doesn't work no anyway. But yeah, G4 Mesa, not really, it's probably, actually, is it the same? Not really even sure what I meant by that, or if I, maybe it's because it's not even Mesa, because X rule X org at all isolation stuff. Yeah, regressions. Previous video, I had a video about this already. Spark glibc, totally broken. All latest, like the two last major releases of glibc broken on Spark. Anyway, I wanted to do one more thing. So the locale stuff is working now. That means we have only one really stupid regression, that is here's this dialog stuff. I think I had it here somewhere. Spaces, where do I have this? Here, it's all dialog spaces. Not really sure why this happens. It is also a really stupid regression. Or at least PowerPC is not really sure what's happening there. This is also a new thing, never happened before. That's the dialog stuff. Also, that simple thing, I can't even, why is it broken? I have no idea. Questions audience, what distribution we are running? Our own, so doing Rock Linux now T2, so running T2 here, automatically cross-compile from scratch here on, anyway, yeah. A source distribution similar to Gentoo. It is, before you ask why not Gentoo, because amazingly scripted with readable shell scripts, but it is as old as Gentoo. Just until some years ago we didn't do YouTube videos, so this is why it's not as known. Although at the peak, Rock Linux, it's based on Rock Linux, where I was stable release maintainer, contributed since 20 years, 1998 or 1997, which is, by the way, more than 20 years. How time flies. Anyway, I noticed just today, I checked DistroWatch, where we of course are, and listed with DistroWatch. Also didn't type it here recently because with all the YouTube views here, which is certainly helps, that we are here more. Yeah, certainly I need to report some releases, because when there are releases, and certainly more people try it. And I noticed, where is this rank here? Page something, more statistics. I noticed we have risen here quite a bit. So this is like 2 years and something. Yes, darn cookies. 12, 6, 3 and 1 month. And when you see here, all our YouTube video stuff certainly contributed a lot to some awareness, which is certainly amazing. But honestly, I wouldn't use something else. I'm a little bit biased, obviously, here, but Anyway, by the way, people use this, right? So some embedded systems use this because it supports all the architectures that all the other distributions are dropping, like hot potatoes, like Spark, ARM, and MIPS and stuff, P3, SG-Octane, and all the fun stuff that you want to play along and run at home. And other distributions sometimes use it to build it, like Puppy OS. Some releases of Puppy are sometimes more or less built with T2 because amazingly scripted, built from source stuff. Anyway, so this is an update. Things are getting more and more amazing, except when other upstream people break the stuff faster than I can fix it. But some stuff like Ultra 5 power off, can live with it. AMD Ryzen resetting now instead of powering off. It's like, okay, fine, whatever. Hope someday someone fixes it. Other stuff I will fix soon. So if you want to see that, maybe live or pre-recorded video coming soon. So Ultra 5X we need to fix because we have people actually interested. So people actually begging me, can we have a better Spark release, because nobody else supports it anymore. It's like, yeah, I see your pain. We have a couple of more issues on Spark. Accessing the floppy also. Oops, also I realized maybe I reported this like a year or two ago on Linux kernel mailing list. Hey, accessing the floppy kernel panics on Ultra 5. I tested the last time. It looks like they disabled, so they haven't fixed it. It looks like they disabled floppy. The kconfig doesn't select anymore right now, at least for me anyway. So yeah, why fix it if you can just disable it? Paul asks, x32, you worked on the other day, supported architecture. Well, it was like supported. It's not an architecture. It's a sub architecture. So basically, it is x86-64, and you just select here default 232 x32 for user space application. So it's like a sub configuration. It's like supported as you see, it somewhat works. However, don't ask me for a Rust or Firefox. Also, maybe Rust works, but I would be surprised if Firefox works. Probably not so. But you are, as you are right now here, maybe leave in the comments below, for the desktop or server, for microservices or serverless, like large scale serverless virtualization container stuff, certainly usable. For the desktop now, you probably don't have a web browser. So probably everything works except probably Firefox and Chrome or something. But yeah, welcome Glocos. How we are doing? We are doing relatively fine, except a little sleepless nights with baby waking us up more often than not. Let's see. So yeah, welcome all. How many people? So we have quite some people. The question is now, there you see people always tell me make live streams shorter, and now we have the most people watching. I wanted to fix, so I will release this ISO 32 and also PowerPC. So as usual, we have some stuff to do. Maybe we switch over to the more live channel just to keep this live streams shorter and allow more people to watch it, and it probably helps everyone that people have more dedicated topic. J91095 asks, just sobbed. Thanks, mate. Have you custom firmware P3 Linux? Yes, of course, that is what a lot of people subbed you for, and what we have done previous videos. So many previous videos, probably in the meantime 50, 40 something, many videos. P3, which we will continue, of course, with. And Glaucus writes, kernel writing series C and Rust will bring a lot of views. Yeah, hopefully. So we will also continue to review other OSs. Sometimes, like, we have already other videos like, but have you tried Rust and Haiku and Dragonfly or Minix and stuff. We will continue with everything, just like time and money. And now we have a baby at home that wants feeding and cuddling and stuff. And yeah, we will of course continue with everything, including also other languages, also programming 101. So lots of stuff planned and coming. Just like, yeah, we need busy with fixing regressions. If you want to see me working more live on this Linux stuff, thank you for the congratulations. Can also not going to publish too many photos, but one like privacy and stuff, but that is Junior, meet Junior there, when he's peacefully sleeping sometimes. And so yeah, there's a More Life channel in probably, which corner is it? Let me think, probably that corner, where we can go over, and I wanted to patch UDEV a little bit, or at least the configuration, and the usual rule I said so often, like the usually 90-10% stuff. This is a similar some rough number estimates that I sometimes said already, like 90% of the time, or 90% of the work takes 10% of the time, for example, like getting all the stuff basically working, and the last 10%, like character maps and UDEV, and like character maps, for example, was this openat relative file descriptor handle thing that took a couple of hours also last night to work on. And like patching UDEV, patching this, patching that, or this power off, and so on, and this certainly takes a lot of time. So if you want to see me working more live on live code, More Life channel. Otherwise, thanks for watching, sharing, liking, and subscribing, and I hope to see you soon for all the next videos and live streams and programming and stuff. And otherwise, see you in a minute on the More Life channel for more live Linux work to come.